Hello everyone, welcome to General Orlando 327 Plays Final Fantasy XIII. This is the first episode of What If You Don't Do It My Way. We are going to play through the Barthandelus fight, first Barthandelus fight at the end of Chapter 9, a couple of times without the shrouds first, so you can see what kind of a difference it makes to have those shrouds on at the beginning of the battle. And then what we're going to do is we're going to play with a couple other configurations, and we're going to go through this entire... Well, I'm going to do the 4 battles in the middle path of this section leading down to this battle, because they're the 4 toughest battles. If your party can handle that, then you can handle anything on the sides. So I'm going to do that, and then proceed with the Barthandelus fight from there, with the same configurations. So basically this is just going to be me showing you a few other options. If you don't like my play style, there are a few other options here that you can try out and see how you like them. The first one we're going to do is basically the same. We're going to have the same party that we did going into the Barthandelus fight on the actual playthrough. And what we have to do first is the equipment is going to be basically the same. Saz and Vanilla are going to keep the same thing, but instead of replacing the power wristband with a tungsten bangle, we're going to replace it with the Doctor's Code. So that we have the ability to do a little bit more healing that way. The next thing we have to do is change our paradigm deck, because this is not going to work without having buffs at the beginning of battle. This is designed for speed combat when you already have buffs equipped. So some of these is just a matter of changing where they are in order, which is what I'm going to start with here, is just put them the way I want them to start with. So our bottom 3 paradigms are the same things as what we've had previously. However, the top 3 are the ones that are going to be changing. We need to change Malevolence to Gorilla by making Vanilla Saboteur. We need to change Devastation to Relentless Assault. And we're going to change Perpetual Magic to Thaumaturgy. We are going to rely on potions and Vanille's outstanding healing abilities for this fight. And we're going to do something similar in some of the other setups as well. But Vanille makes an excellent healer at this point in the game. She's the only one that has both Cura and Raise. So that's why making her the healer for this primary healer for this fight is not too much of a risk, especially since we threw on the Doctor's Codes to help with the team healing if necessary. And that's that. I do have, it's going to be the same setup as I did previously. I have their Crystarium tiers completed to this point. And that's all that's different here. And like I said, we are not going to throw Aegisol and Fortisol like we have in previous in the story version of the fight. I'm just going to go into it like this, and you can see how much different it actually is. So basically all we're doing here is tweaking our strategy just a little bit for not having those shrouds. Other than that, the basic overall strategy is going to be the same in every fight. Throw a Libroscope, target each piece individually, and this way we're just going to probably have to heal a little bit more often. And it gets a little bit frantic here at the beginning of fights without a Fortisol or an Aegisol. Partially because Saz keeps taking time to cast and whatever he feels like casting, which means we have to pretty much rely on healing ourselves, or he doesn't have the defensive buffs is the issue, is the major issue with that. Once you get one staggered, just switch to Relentless Assault to finish it as quickly as possible. If you're low on healing, you can switch to Diversity instead, and then switch back to Gorilla in order to finish letting him cast the buffs. Sometimes that means he's again going to waste time with the end spells, but it still lets us. Every time he does that, the ones that he's already stuck are prolonged because of the boon ability. Alright, So now we're gonna go ahead and change to, we're gonna just keep a round of this in Relentless Assault so that we can get the chain gauge started, and then we're gonna switch to Thaumaturgy so that Vanille can heal us up while Saz and Lightning finish nuking the thing. And then switch back to Relentless Assault to finish it. Now things are going to be a little bit different for the last piece. They're going to start out basically the same. We're going to use Gorilla, and then what we're going to do here is, even if it gets staggered, we're going to have Saz finish buffing, because we want those buffs on so before we go into fighting Barthandelus. Heal. The only other one we need is Bravery on Saz. There we go. Then we can go into Thaumaturgy to heal up. Or, you know, heal died, so that's a problem. That's a back. Haste. She doesn't have. Now we have to waste time on that. Or, well, we need to be in Thaumaturgy for this attack anyway, so. Wow! Did that, like, completely miss us? What was he aiming at? Alright, so now we actually do need to go back into Gorilla, which I didn't want to do once we were fighting Barthandelus, but... oh well, such is life. Actually, I really don't need Bravery on Vanille. She's not doing any physical attacks. So then we're going to switch to Smart Bomb to focus on staggering Barthandelus as quickly as possible. Because unfortunately, the problem with buffing like this is that the buffs don't stick as long, don't stay on as long as they do for shrouds. So we will probably run out of them before the end of this fight. Heal up. Drive up the chain gauge just a little bit. Because about the time that haste wears off on Lightning and Saz is going to be the point where he does the Scrudo, and you want to be attacking as much as possible. Like that. Yep. That. So then what you want to do is, again, either use, in this case, this is what we want Relentless Assault for, because we have the debuffs that we care about stuck on him. We want to use Relentless Assault to up the chain gauge as quickly as we reasonably can. And there we go. That actually worked out really well because he targeted Lightning, and Lightning was moved forward at the time that he cast it, so we're good. Alright. In that case, no, we can't afford to go back to Saboteur, so we're going to just go ahead and stay in Relentless Assault. I would have switched to Try Disaster normally, but we didn't particularly need it. And now we can just use Aggression and it should finish it off. So it's a little bit more hectic doing it this way. That's why I prefer to use the Shrouds. But if you're a purist and you don't feel like using the Shrouds, although, you know, they program them in, that's what they're there for, there's another way to do it. Alright. Unfortunately, then we have to skip through some cutscenes, tell it not to save, and then reload in order to get the other one. So it's going to take a second, and then we'll have to set up. I'm going to do one other method without Shrouds. That method works really well if you are familiar with the game and know when to heal and that kind of thing. And how to fix it if you die like I did. No, we don't want to save. Skip that cutscene. I'm skipping all the cutscenes in this because I'm assuming you're going to watch them in my story playthrough if you care that much. Alright, so load this again. Get my setup here for the next one. The next one is going to be basically the same same type of deal. We're going to use, instead of using Vanille, we're going to use Hope because he has all the defensive buffs, and basically we're going to simulate as if we had the shrouds on. In fact, I think I've already got it set up for the looks of things. Yeah, I do. Couldn't remember which format I had saved. Yeah, so this is going to be our setup. We're going to have Saz, Hope, and we still can't switch out Lightning at this point, so that's why Lightning. Otherwise, we'd have some more interesting configurations to play with. But so our first one is going to be the All for One, where Lightning is just attacking the individual pieces while buffs and debuffs are being put on, or well, buffs, offensive and defensive buffs is what I should have said. And then we have our standard Try Disaster, Aggression, Relentless Assault for when we're just facing Barthandelus. And then we have Perpetual Magic to heal up quickly, and Recuperation is there in case of emergencies when if we're out of buffs and we're in trouble. So basically you're going to be switching from All for One to probably to Perpetual Magic, and then back to All for One. That's why I try to do these in an order that makes sense, because coming from All for One, you're probably either going to be switching to Try Disaster, or you're going to be switching to Perpetual Magic, whereas or Recuperation if you're really in trouble. But hopefully you're not, because if you're that much in trouble to switch to this, then you're probably going to need the AoE effects of Cura anyway, which Lightning doesn't have at this point. Equipment is going to be basically the same. Lightning's is exactly the same. Saz's is exactly the same. Yeah. And Hope is literally just going to get what Vanille had with the Gold Mangle and Shaman's Mark. One thing of note, I did change him to the Air Wing here, because that way it synthesizes both the... Oh no, it only gives him critical shield. I toyed with either Vidofnir for the defense maintenance, or Hawkeye for the additional magic wall, but this seems like the best way to do it, because if he goes critical, that means you're going to need to drop into Perpetual Magic. So that makes the most sense to me. And yeah, and Saz's are exactly the same. The next version that we do with Saz... Actually, do I have another version with Saz? Come to think of it, I might not. Yeah, I do. I have one more version with Saz, and that one actually does not use the augment maintenance, because the other two versions that we're going to play with both have used the shrouds. So this is just the other one that we use without shrouds, to basically recreate the shrouds and then go forward from there. Yeah, that's all we use. So we're going to do the same thing here, no shrouds. Alright, and again, Libroscope, although at this point it's not as important to throw a Libroscope, simply because I'm going to be using Commando for a lot of the targeting here. However, it's still probably, we're going to have to probably go to a healing paradigm before too long, so that's why I do it, and in that healing paradigm I have Saz doing Raptor stuff, so that way he can drive up the chain gauge here.
Thank you.
We're about done with buffing, which is nice. Alright, Saz needs Bravery and Faith. And we need to heal. I did not need to use Relentless Assault. That is not what I wanted. Hopefully that doesn't screw me. Then we can go back to All for One. basically just need bravery and faith on Saz at this point. But there we go. And then we can go to try disaster to finish this one. Or we need to heal again. That works too. The other technique, of course, that you can use for healing, which I probably will have to do in one of the other ones that I'm doing, is to use Renew. One thing I didn't really toy with is using Odin in this battle. Towards the end, it's not really necessary, and Barthandelus is just outputting so much damage that it's going to be basically him healing lightning the entire time, and guarding, which doesn't drive up the Eidolon gauge very well. And early on, these things are going to be outputting so much magic at him that I don't think the bar would last all that long. I don't think you can get much of a charge on the actual, like, vehicle version. The nice part about this... Why is he switched to Barthandelus? Thank you. The nice part about this configuration is that the beginning part of the battle still goes pretty quickly. Once you get those buffs on, this part of the battle is still a piece of cake. The downside is that these buffs are going to start wearing out exactly when we need them the most. Because, like I said, the actual manual buffs wear out a lot faster and they're already starting to. Alright, here we go. Healed up, we can do this. I'm probably not supposed to heal that next. With the buffs on, that really doesn't do all that much damage. But like I say, we're going to start losing our buffs here pretty soon. The only one we've lost so far is Vale, which is fine because he doesn't do status effects. So now we're going to go ahead and toss a potion. And now we're losing haste. See, this is where things get bad. Haste and vigilance, which is even worse. If I didn't want to press the stagger, I would probably have gone to recuperation instead, but I want to finish the stagger out before I try to rebuff. And now I'm not going to have time to rebuff because he goes to Destrudo. Yep, that's the way this works. Make use of the two-turn trick to reset your HP gauge during this period too, so that you can... Yeah, see, that did a lot of damage because all of our buffs are gone.
Let's go.
At least all of our defensive buffs are gone. Alright, we're gonna have to use Renew here. Otherwise, things are going to go very badly very fast. There we go. Alright, then we can go back to aggression. See, and now he's still just below half health. If we had had a Saboteur in this party, this would have been again, a lot easier. Now we got Strudo again. This is not good. Gonna have to do a straight to disaster without using the two-turn trick. Just don't think we're gonna do enough damage otherwise. Optimally, you want to get him staggered while he's doing Destrudo, so that go. Because then when you switch to aggression, probably now. Alright. We're going to try it this way. Hopefully we can finish him in the stagger. Alright, I'm gonna, you can see that this is over. I'm gonna go ahead and hit retry so that we don't have to do all those scenes again. But anyway, that's how that one would work. And as you can see, it's a lot more hectic without a saboteur, and B, buffs of, you know, the shrouds, Fortisol and Aegisol. But it's doable. Alright, so now we're gonna set up the party to do a few battles here, just to show that it can be done a different way, and then proceed to fighting Barthandelus again. And what we're basically going to do is swap out what we had with Hope for Snow. Oh, it's worth noting that in both of those paradigms that I did, because of the strength that I have on Saz with the accessories and the weapon that I chose, he was actually my primary commando in those in Relentless Assault instead of Lightning. So that's worth mentioning, because I didn't actually point it out when I was going through the paradigms. Alright, so let's set these up the way we want them. And this setup is going to be similar to what we had with... well, it's going to be basically the exact opposite of what we had with Vanille and Fang in the party. Instead of having a saboteur, we're basically going to adjust for the fact that we have a synergist instead. But other than that, everything is virtually the same. So this is literally the same paradigm that we had when we had Vanille in the party with, and actually so is this one. Both of these are the same paradigm that we had with Vanille in the party, except that Saz is a synergist instead of a saboteur. So it's basically the same thing. It's going to be used in virtually the same way. Actually, this party has the benefit that when you're going through all of the battles in this area, grinding, you actually don't have to switch starting paradigms. You can start in Decimation for all of them, without too much of a loss. The other advantage that this party has, particularly in the boss battle, is that we have both 3 Commandos and 3 Ravagers. So that makes the couple of the phases easier with Barthandelus. Alright. So we're going to start in Decimation. And like I said, we're going to do the 4 battles this up here. We're not going to do the side ones, because if you can do all 4 of these, then you're all set with anything in this area. This is the battle that
Keep your mind on the battle.
that protection is here for, only because depending on how quickly we get the right buffs and who these people target, you may want to have that in place to heal up quickly. But we also have a doctor's code on Lightning, so that she can do it that way instead. Although that's not really keeping up very well, so let's go to this. Pull some damage away from her for a minute. And again, the downside of this is she does not have Cura. So that's the risk we run with this. Alright, but now that we've got everything in place, actually I should have used Relentless Assault. I'm going to switch to Diversity to heal Snow already. That's the other downside to using a Sentinel, is that for a couple turns afterwards, it takes them, they may already have attacks queued against Snow, and he doesn't have the defensive stacks anymore. Oh, and by the way, the other problem with this tactic is that the Reaver keeps casting Dispel. So that's the other reason well, that's the primary reason that synergists don't work as well as saboteurs do in this area. On the other hand, we now have Tri-Disaster and Commando. So once it's staggered, we can kill it very quickly. The thing that I forgot to do, though, was to change equipment. Let's see. You get... The game bay needs the gold mangle, but you get the Magician's Mark and the I've sworn I fixed the ordering of this. There it is. So Saz is going to become my primary nuker. We're going to give him... we're going to give him the Procyons. I don't want to stick with these. That's higher magic anyway. Yeah, we're going to stick with the Spike of Defenders. That's the one piece I didn't write down from what I was doing here. Was the gear for each setup, but doesn't really matter too much. It's a few points here and there, and maybe the passive ability at that point. And he's gonna get where is it? Where's the Brawler's Wristband hiding? There it is. And he's also going to get yeah, I think it's the silver bangle that I usually give him at that point. Yeah. He's gonna get the silver bangle. There we go. Now that's set up properly. This battle is actually pretty easy with this setup. The Raiders aren't really that much of a threat when you have Ravager Commando combo because they stagger very easily. It's really just a matter of keeping track of the damage that the Thermodon is doing. If we didn't have a Thermodon, all I would really want to cast is Haste. But I want the Bravery and Faith to break through the Thermodon's defenses as quickly as possible.
You asked for it.
Then we're going to use a couple phases of Relentless Assault and use the 2-turn trick to switch to Try Disaster to stagger it. And we're going to do the same thing with that to go into Command or to Cerberus, and then we can just finish it off. Because then it goes down quick. There we are. And then this is the other challenging battle. We've got the Destroyer and we've got the Huntress. And we don't have Dispel. Oh, I'm sorry, we have 2 Huntresses and we don't have Dispel. This is the other battle you might need to use a Sentinel on. Especially since the Reaver keeps casting Dispel. Probably could have done Diversity.
No.
Yeah, right.
Keep your mind on the battle. Keep the enemy off balance. Time for another approach.
So that's probably the best way to handle this, is to go from Discretion to Diversity, so that when you finish one enemy, just go into Diversity and let really.
And so it ends.
See how much easier this is when you have at least one person casting Dispel? I didn't mean to quit. Pressed the wrong button there. Whatever. Not like we can't do it again. My bad there, guys. I didn't realize I pushed quit. Should have been retry. I have to set this up again too. we go. Actually, might as well leave the gold bangle on you. Stop that. You can keep the gold bangle because you won't need it until you'll need it in a minute. You get the Shaman's Mark. You get the Bulger's Band. And I don't want it. I think that might have been actually what I gave him. No, I didn't, because that would not help him against Barthandelus. Actually, let me look at that. Come to think of it. The HP is better than the damage reduction at that point. Alright. So I'm going to take a different path this time, since I'll fight those guys again, right? We're not going to fight these. We're going to go this way. Well, we were going to go that way.
This is interesting.
Fine. Really?
Change of plan.
See why I don't use this party?
Time for another approach.
No, don't attack the Reaver. Kill the other Dragoon.
Thank you. Keep the enemy off balance.
Why did I switch to Cerberus? Sorry. My brain is stuck in being annoyed at how inefficient this party is. Alright, well, since we had to fight them anyway, there's no sense in going that way. Because this battle's relatively easy. But yeah, the Huntresses are going to be your biggest challenge with anything that doesn't have a factor in it.
We gotta win this!
I have my Relentless Assault paradigm set up wrong. Snow should be our primary commando, not lightning. Well, okay. Fix that. There we go. Problem solved. Alright, for realsies.
On your toes. Thank you.
At least they're spreading out the damage this time instead of everybody. Wait, why are we attacking the Reaver? No. That still is building. He really doesn't. He's not really going to use much physical attacks, but. No, we're good. Okay. Alright, now let's just use diversity to let Saz and Snow handle the first Huntress. While we try to keep everybody alive. Now we're basically on the downward side of the hill. At this point, it's just a matter of time. Thankfully, the Reaver is extremely slow, even when he does have high damage potential, which he does. For the most part, he's not all that much of a challenge by himself, or even with just one enemy, especially if you're currently handling the other enemy. Here. One more turn, then we'll be able to switch to Cerberus. And then it'll be over. Just like that. And that's the way it's supposed to work. Alright. Do we even care about the top battle? Tell the truth. Those are just a bunch of munchkins anyway. Alright, so let's just go back down. Actually, come think about it. That should have respawned. Yep, it did. Good. That respawned that battle, so then we can use the other paradigm. I am going to use this paradigm against Barthandelus as well, but I want to, since we can save a little bit of time here, what I'll do is I'll do the top two with my other party of choice, which is going to be the Mushy Squad, Hope, Vanille and Lightning. Not very much HP among them, but it works for this area anyway. Alright, so we need this to go here. And that's still going to be our starting paradigm for, well, maybe not for everything, but... So the downside of this is that we only have one commando available. So when we fight Barthandelus with this, it's a little bit different, although not much from what we were doing with the original paradigm with Vanille and Fang. Now, let's see, what have we got there? We're gonna want... Yeah, we're gonna want to start with Hero's Charge for this battle. No, actually, I don't think we will. I think we'll want to start with Ruthless. Because if we start with Ruthless, then she can be debuffing while we're taking out the Destroyer. The other advantage to this paradigm is that I have two solid medics instead of just Vanille and Lightning. I have Vanille and Hope in this one, so we can heal up a lot faster. What are we casting now? We go to this so that we can start building the gauge a little bit. And see, they heal like in a flash. Back to Ruthless so she can finish dispelling, hopefully, maybe. And then we basically are going to use the same tactics as we did with Fang in the party instead of Hope. We just have a different kind of damage output. Oh, I forgot to do equipment again, didn't I? A bit more critical with these guys, too. The reason I'm not bothering to have Hope buff is because, again, this Reaver has Dispel, and he will just keep spamming it if we keep trying to heal or buff up. And really, we don't need the defensive buffs against him anyway. With this party being offensive-minded, we can actually do a little bit more than... Right, and then we're going to use Ruthless. What I actually should have used there was Smart Bomb instead of Relentless Assault. I forgot about that, but it's fine. There we go. Relentless Assault is the finisher in this setup, because we don't have more than one commando, so we can't use Aggression or Cerberus. Right, I have those. What I need is equipment. You're fine. Actually, we don't need the doctor's coat on you anymore. You can get your actually you can have the brawler wristband. Since you're primarily commando in this. You want the... Oh, I need to take those off of Saz. You need the Magician's Mark. And... I can't remember if you get... the Shaman's Mark, I know that much. You don't need critical shield here. What we really want for you in this one is going to be... Hawkeye. And that actually means that I don't need the gold bangle on you. You can have the tungsten bangle, and you get the gold bangle back. There we go. Alright, now that's set up properly. Alright, then I am going to go ahead and do this top battle because that will allow it to respawn the one right below where we started here. Then we just go down to the bottom and then we just fight Barthandelus with this party and the previous party. And that'll be it for this video.
Let's get this over with. Out of my way!
And you can basically do this battle the same way as we did with Fang instead of Hope. Just sticking Ruthless the whole time and you're basically good to go. The downside is that you don't have diversity if they force you to heal. The upside is that you have 2 healers. So, 2 real healers. I don't count Lightning as a healer, even though that's one of her primary roles, because she's just not worth it as a healer at basically any point. At least not as a primary healer. Alright, now this battle you're going to want to do... you can still do Ruthless with this one. The bottom battle you're definitely going to want to start with Paradigm. No, actually, probably wanted that for this one too, come to think of it, but we'll see how it goes. You could do this with either Ruthless or Hero's Charge. Both of them make sense. See if we can get rid of the Raiders before we get too much damage on us. Just don't forget that the Thermodon does a lot of damage in a hurry with its photon burst attack. Alright. So I'm going to go ahead and use Hero's Charge for a second just to get Protecting Shell on while Vanille heals us up. Not that we really need it.
Thanks.
That's fine. Then we're going to take advantage of the fact that this party has 3 Ravagers instead of using Relentless Assault with Fang in it. And then we'll Smart Bomb it until it gets the debuffs we want. Ruthless might be a little bit faster against it, but it doesn't make too much of a difference. That's not what I wanted at all. Let's do Assault. Thank you. That's our finisher. So this is probably the most flexible of the optional parties that I'm putting together, just because it does have a lot of, it has every role except Sentinel, but we basically synthesize a Sentinel by using Synergist to put Protection Shell on everything, which we definitely want for this battle. This is going to be basically the same as what we did with the Sentinel role when Fang was here. Vanille's going to keep us all healed while Hope casts our buffs. Unfortunately, the downside is with a Reaver on the table, he casts Shell before he casts Protect. And what we really need at the beginning of this is Protect, because these things do so much physical damage so quickly. But Vanille is capable, for the most part, keeping up with her. So. And when he isn't, we just switch to Discretion. Or when she isn't, we just switch to Discretion. Or that happens, and then we're all just screwed. Okay, well, let's try this. There we go. Let them heal up again.
Thanks. Target's a target.
Because the other downside to this group is that we don't have space to put diversity in. I would be able to do a lot more flexible work with diversity. This would actually be a pretty optimal party setup for the majority of the game if we were able to use, if we had the space for everything that we would have wanted. Particularly both Diversity, Ruthless, Smart Palm, Relentless Assault, Try Disaster. Yeah. In other words, we basically need one more slot, and this would be a really good setup, actually. Switch to Smart Bomb here. Get this thing staggered as good as we can. Wow, nothing wants to stick on him today. There we go. Alright. Then we finish with the Relentless Assault. There we go.
Be ready for the next fight.
Alright, so let's go forward and kill Barthandelus with this party. Then we'll reload one last time and kill Barthandelus with the last party that we had. With Lightning, Snow, and Saz. And both of these we're going to use the shrouds, just because it's probably the fastest and easiest way to do it. And so for these last two parties that we've done, it was basically just proving that you could do the entire area with a different party setup. And that it works for the boss as well.
Cocoon's nothing to you?
Again, we definitely need a Liberscope. Then we do the exact same thing we did previously. Oh, I'm in the wrong paradigm though. We don't need him as a don't need him as a synergist for this. Forgot to switch my default. Really don't really need this to be. This is what it should be. The rest of this is basically exactly the same as what we had with Vanille and Fang. Strategy is essentially the same. Oh wait, we didn't have Vanille and Saz is what I meant to say.
Thank you.
Nope, I still wanted a smart bomb. Wrong one. The nice part, again, is that when she's up in the air, it's an instant paradigm shift. When your party leader is in the air, then the paradigms shift instantaneously. Alright, then we go to Smart Bomb. Just de-shell the stick and then we can go straight out of offensive. There we go.
Take down the enemy.
You will taste agony.
Defeat is not an option.
Again, your goal here for Strudo is to stagger him. If you can stagger him, then he's not going to do too much damage to the attack. You can't stagger him. Thankfully, we have 3 dedicated magic casters at this point. Although, Lightning isn't really a dedicated magic caster, but she's still better than Saz. There we go. I didn't mean to cancel that battle. Just have to reload one more time and do the Lightning Saz Fang. Nope, Lightning Saz Snow setup. Then that'll be all of the various what ifs. At least the ones that I think are decently efficient. The reason I use Snow instead of Fang is just so we can do the Barthandelus fight without a Saboteur, basically. Basically, that setup exists so that if for some reason you despise Saboteurs, you're crazy, but beside the point. If for some reason you don't want to use Saboteurs, then I used Snow instead of Fang. And the other advantage to that is that Snow has Ravager backup that Fang doesn't. Alright. One last go. And again, we're going to use Fortisol and Aegisol. Of course, the downside of using Saz and Snow, of course, is that Lightning has to be our primary healer. And for the Barthandelus fight, that's not exactly fun. Alright. What did I do there? Relentless assault in here twice. Why do I have relentless assault in here twice? Oh, because she's supposed to be a medic in that role. There we go. We don't need to use those. Oop, that's wrong. At least up there wasn't right. Don't need to augment maintenance because he's not casting buffs. Stagger maintenance is better in that case. Yeah, you definitely need the doctor's code. In fact, I think better off with nah, we're gonna leave the Axis Blade. Fortisol, Aegisol. In we go.
Cocoon's nothing to you.
One Libroscope.
Ignorant of your fates.
And again, we should be good with healing until we finish the second piece. Then we can just toss a potion. still doing well. Another potion. I would like to switch to medic as little as possible in this battle with this party. So now we're gonna use trial. And of course, the downside here is that we don't have a saboteur to inflict deprotect, deshell, and specifically we don't have the meal to inflict the offensive debuffs. So we have to rely strictly on brute force. The good news is that this team is extremely good at brute force.
You will taste
Later on, once we start working with the secondary roles for everybody, we will actually be able to use Fang in place of Lightning here, because Fang actually makes it halfway. Actually, Saz actually makes it halfway decent. Because Saz actually makes a decent secondary medic. Obviously, this fight doesn't help. But later on in storyline and in optional content, especially post-game, post-story, we will be able to use him as our primary meta. Alright.
Cutting you down.
Alright. This is why I leave the synergist rolls in there, just in case somebody kicks the bucket. Unfortunately, I don't think Snow has access to Spike yet.
Barthandelus.
Maybe we'll kill him in the next stagger round. Of course he's going to reset the chain gauge. I mean, why wouldn't he?
Follow my lead.
There we go. So you can see it's still easy to do it other ways if you know the proper strategies. As you can obviously tell, the Fortisol and Aegisol makes things a whole lot faster and easier to worry about. For one thing, it doesn't limit your party. By using Fortisol and Aegisol, you basically nullify the need to have some sort of a synergist in the party, because you're going to need buffs one way or the other. You can probably survive without defensive buffs, but then you basically have to have Hope in the party anyway to act as a medic. So it's not really 6-point picking. But yeah, there's a few other options for you. That's what might happen if you don't like to do it the way that I do it in my playthrough. I hope you enjoyed this episode. There's going to be more like this to come. Probably, I'm hoping to be able to do this in all of my RPG episodes. So, probably not Kingdom Hearts, because there really isn't much for options there other than like complete playthroughs with different builds. So that doesn't really, there's not much there. The Tales series, I should be able to do some of this. Even that, though, a lot of them is based on your party setup. Like, I could do... Someday I'll probably go back and do parts of a playthrough with a different set of characters. Basically, like, for right now, I'm doing Tales of Graces, and I'm basically going to use Asbel as my lead for the majority of the game. And just switch here and there. But I could do a playthrough where, like, Sophie was my lead character, and I, basically didn't use Asbel. Or, used a playthrough with like, Sharia or Pascal as my main character, which would be basically a magic build type run. So, those are other options that I may do. Those will be similar to what this kind of an episode was. But those will involve a little bit more. Maybe I'll do those just for like boss fights or something. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Make sure to subscribe so you get other weekend content like this. Because that's what all of these will be, is bonus weekend content. For the time being, the majority of this series of videos will be basically up from now on until while I'm playing Final Fantasy XIII and doing various bosses. The next one for this series will be when we get to Cid in chapter next 9. No, this is 9. 10. Chapter 10. I'll do Cid. Bahamut you really can't do anything different with. So basically it'll just be this kind of a thing where I might play through part of an area, or I might play through a boss fight that uses different strategies, using different teams than what I use. Make sure to hit the like button if you enjoyed this video and share it with your friends. Everybody have a great day.